This day in Philly sports history is proud to be a part of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network, where passionate fans make powerful content. Check out theclashingconferences.com and join the squad today. What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for July 23rd, 2026. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Thursday edition of the podcast. Let's get right into it. We're less than a week away from training camp. Finally. But man, I don't know what's gotten into the Phils. Very, very sloppy for the second straight day. Lots of base running, I keep saying it, but it reminds me because I saw a lot of these games this past year. Fourth grade rec baseball, like dumb things, like running directly into outs and just, I don't know. I mean, Nola was okay until the fifth and then kind of fell apart, but I don't know. This team has a lot of needs, and every time like I get in on them, they go and play like this, and I'm just like, I don't know. But man, luckily they have a day off. I questioned some of Mattingly's moves, but Bohm had a good game, 3 RBI. Brian De La Cruz had an excellent game, both defensively and at the plate. The Bohm coming out of whatever slump he was in could potentially be an upgrade. The news came out that Mattingly's gonna start possibly platooning Marsh based on his recent numbers against left-handers. Does that mean De La Cruz gets so many things? But they need a fifth starter and a bullpen arm. It was good to see Alex McFarland come in, gave up a hit, but looked pretty solid. So maybe that's an answer to one of the bullpen issues. Maybe Gage Wood is another. I saw, I forget who reported. It might have been John Heyman. One of the bigger baseball reporters said that Dave Dombrowski could be looking to make a splash, and I agree. I think with the uncertainty of next year, the glaring needs, I think you either go big or you're looking for a job next year. And whether that means Gage Wood comes up here and is one of those guys, or you trade him for a stud fifth star, I don't know. But I think this is your opportunity. So we'll see what happens. Again, luckily they're off today. But man, I was going to say, I just need a break from the Phillies this week. Yankees tomorrow for a weekend series, but that was just brutal to watch. They got up 2-0. You're like, oh, okay. All of a sudden, the Dodgers are up 3-2, and you're like, okay. I think the Phils tied it 3-3, and then it was just whatever. So, yikes. Union stormed back yesterday. First game back in a while after almost 2 months due to the World Cup. But they came back with a 3-1 win under interim manager Ryan Richter. Can they build this momentum? They have a lot of work to do. There's 18 games left in their season. They're 9 points out of a playoff spot. But, man, you never know. It's almost like a new season at this point after that much time off. Let's go on a run and just see what we can do. But they're back in action on Saturday. But a good, solid 3-1 win at Subaru Park yesterday. And then as the LeBron turns, the update here, a couple different things. As soon as I got off from recording yesterday, I saw that somebody in the Heat's organization, their social media team, leaked a link to a press conference on July 27th announcing the return of LeBron. There was a picture of Dwayne Wade's statue unveiling, though. They later said it was more of a placeholder. It was placed by mistake. I did hear, I believe it was Ashlyn Sullivan yesterday, kind of confirmed that that is something that they do. So I guess at this point I'll buy their story on that. But then the other story was LeBron was annoyed that the commissioner is kind of pushing him to make a decision. And look, I actually kind of have to take LeBron's side on this. Like, I get as the commissioner, you want to put the best games, best players at certain times, but you can't be. And I think that this is the issue with the NBA, because the NFL would just flex it and say, screw it, we'd rather have this game and make no bones about it. But I think the NBA, they kind of cater to the play. So, I mean, I get it, but I think it's also a reasonable ask, especially because LeBron knows where he's going. That's, I think, the thing that I can't wrap my head around. Like, why drag this out? And again, it's typical LeBron. My feelings on LeBron are not going to change if he does sign with the Sixers as far as where he ranks in the hierarchy of the all-time greats. Don't need to get into that right now. If and when he makes a decision, be plenty of time both ways for that. But like, why drag it out? Like, I just don't get it. Except for you want the attention. I mean, it is fine. So we'll see what happens with that. I mean, we've been hearing for a week now. We're 24 to 48 hours away from an announcement. But this is not the first time that the Sixers have been in hot pursuit of LeBron James, and that leads us into today's Throwback Thursday, brought to you by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. They got you covered with their wide selection of Philly sports-based apparel. That's phillygoat.com, promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off. As I said, this is not the first time that they were in pursuit. The 2018 offseason, the Sixers, I don't think they were ever as close or as talked about in their pursuit as they are now. But there was a speculation started rolling after one of the games that season where Ben Simmons had a solid game versus LeBron and called him Young King. My, how things have changed. But then Joe took that and ran with it all over Twitter and Instagram and essentially did a full court press to try to get LeBron here, if you remember. Even there were some media groups that, or marketing groups that bought billboards during that offseason in Cleveland that said, complete the process. Here we are 7 years later, and we're still trying to complete the process, but that's a whole different issue. There was rumors going around. I mean, this all sounds so familiar. There was rumors that he toured Malvern Prep for his kids to go to high school in, his sons. There were rumors that he was looking at homes. Brett Brown even flew out to meet with him. Apparently, he thought about it before ultimately making the decision to go to LA. But this has been 7 years in the making. This is not something new. Is this time going to be different? I feel like, knowing what we know now, Sixers are probably in a better position now than they were in 2018. Yes, we all know how the Ben Simmons thing, but I don't know. This has been going on for a while. But what are your thoughts on LeBron? I mean, it's an absolute... And what we're experiencing right now is nothing compared to the circus that is going to come with LeBron signing here. And I'm okay with that for the stuff on the field, but it is just ridiculous, man. Like, I've never like, could you imagine? And again, I don't want to get into the GOAT debate here on this because this is Philly sports. I guess it ties in somewhat with Philly sports, but could you imagine like LeBron or Michael kind of doing this whole song and dance with other teams? Could you imagine like Kobe doing it? Kobe like apparently had deals with other. And I get there's a business side to it, but just being so out it like and allowing it to happen, I guess, more so than anything. LeBron hasn't said much, but I feel like just allowing it to happen and soaking up the attention because everybody's talking about LeBron. That's my issue with it. But it's a new day in the world we live in. All right, yesterday's trivia question. I asked you, what is the Phillies' longest modern day winning streak in team history? That would be 13 games. They set that in 1977 and then again in 1991. Whether you're coaching Little League, crushing your fantasy league, or just rolling up to a bachelor party like a Philly legend, Lotwin custom hype chains bring the energy. Fully customizable, totally unforgettable, and guaranteed to turn you into the MVP of the moment. Great for teams, groomsmen, or anyone who wants to show off with some serious swagger. Go to Lotwin.com, use the promo code TCCPOD, and get 10% off your own custom hype chain. Lotwin, let's get hyped together. All right, July 23rd. First, we're going to go back to 1955. Phillies beat the Cardinals 7-2 at Connie Mack Stadium to get back to the 500 mark. Del Ennis had himself a day going 3 for 4 with 3 home runs and 7 RBI. Ennis was in the midst of an all-star season where he hit 29 homers and 120 RBI. But Del Ennis leads the way, knocking in all 7 of the Phillies' runs in a 7-2 rout of the Cardinals at Connie Mack. And that leads us into today's trivia question. And I'm anxious to see where you all go with this one. But who are the only Phillies players with multiple 3 home run games? Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531. Any of my social media at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel at Philly Jimbo as well. I've read my notes out of order there. But also the Discord channel, which is in the description, or the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531. But again, who are the only Phillies to have multiple 3 home run games? Get your answers in however you can. And then fast forward to 1962, Phillies lose to the Cubs 4-3 at Wrigley Field. This game, part of it anyway, was broadcast in Europe. It was the first time that there was a baseball game broadcast in Europe. It was part of the 3rd inning was broadcast, the top of the 3rd, with the Phillies batting. The Cubs broadcast was what the folks over in Europe heard, and they saw Johnny Callison hit a single and Tony Taylor fly out. It was broadcast by Telstar Communications, and it wasn't part of the original plan to broadcast the Phillies-Cubs game that day, but JFK was supposed to lead off the broadcast, I guess welcoming the folks in Europe or whatever, but I guess he was running a little bit late and needed more time, so they just threw the feed of the Phillies-Cubs on there. So European fans, for the first time ever, saw live American baseball on this day in 1962, and our Phillies were a big part of that. The Phillies were a big part of a lot of major broadcasting milestones, it seems like. We talked about the first radio broadcast, first commercial, and now the first European broadcast on this day in 1962. Fast forward to 1978, Gary Maddox homered. Richie Hebner added a 3-run shot as the Phillies pound the Astros 13-2 at the Vet. Steve Carlton was on the mound that day for the Phils, went 8 strong innings, striking out 4 to get the win, number 200 on his career, becoming the 78th pitcher in Major League Baseball history to reach the 200-win plateau. Only Robin Roberts at the time was able to get to the 200 mark while playing for the Phillies. Later, Roy Halladay would join them in 2013, but kind of surprising that even late in careers, not one person was able to get their 200th win with the Phillies. But I also think it goes to show just how terrible that 30-year window was when, or I guess was it 30 years? From like 1920 to 1950, somewhere in there. Whatever. All right, fast forward to 1990. Phillies were being no-hit through 6 innings versus the Mets. On the mound for the Mets was Frank Viola. And then all of a sudden, bottom of the 6th, 2 walks and an error led to a Phillies run. The no-hitter was still intact. Another walk, and then up stepped Dickie Thon, who hits a grand slam. Viola not only loses the no-hitter All of a sudden, the Mets are down 5-3. Phillies would tack on 2 runs in the 8th and win it 8-4. I forgot about this until I was doing the research, and now I remembered it. But prior to that, in the bottom of the 5th inning, while Viola was on the mound, there was a black cat that ran onto the field and was around the Mets dugout. Definitely an ominous sign for the Mets that day. But Phillies beat the Mets 8-4. Dickie Thon breaks up Frank Viola's no-hitter with a grand slam. Viola loses the no-hitter and the lead all on one swing. And then we're not going to have to go back too far. We're going back to last year. Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos, JT Realmuto, and Brandon Marsh all homered as the Phillies lose a wild one to the Red Sox 9-8 at Citizens Bank Park. Both teams scored in the 10th and the 11th, but it was the Red Sox tacking on 2 in the 11th to win it 9-8. But more importantly for Bryce Harper, it was career home run number 350. And I remember this game, it was a wild one. Lots of homers, no pitching, as the Phillies lose to the Red Sox 9-8. But Bryce Harper gets his 350th home run. And then finally today, our greatest Philly high school hoops figure tournament rolls on with another Elite 8 matchup. It is brought to you by Beach Caddy. Go to beachcaddy.app if you're in Stone Harbor, Avalon, Sea Isle, Ocean City, or Wildwood. They take the stress out of your Jersey Shore vacation. They'll move you in, move you out, and then, of course, they have the best beach carts at the Jersey Shore. And when I say move you in, move you out, they will take your stuff from your car and put it into your place so you don't get all sweaty and miserable and whatever. But use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your move in, move out, as well as your beach cart rentals. All right, so yesterday's result was another good one. Rasheed Wallace took down Lionel Simmons, the L Train, with 55% of the vote. L Train got up big early, and then Rasheed battled back and took the lead overnight. I went to bed. Lionel Simmons was winning. Woke up, I guess the late night West Coast crowd is our Rasheed Wallace fans. So Rasheed Wallace moves on in the North Regional to take on Dawn Staley. Today we have our final Sweet 16 matchup in the Suburban Regional. It's a 2-3 matchup between Elena Deladon and Hank Gathers. Let's start with Deladon. She went to Ursuline Academy in Wilmington. She was 4-time Delaware State Champion, Consensus Player of the Year, 3-time Delaware National Player of the Year, 3-time Delaware Player of the Year. She's the all-time leading scorer in Delaware State history for boys and girls with over 2,200 points. She made a national record 80 straight free throws at one point. She was a McDonald's and WBCA All-American. She also won a state title in basketball. From high school, she committed to UConn, but returned back home to be closer to her family. Didn't play basketball. She was kind of burnt out. So freshman year, she kind of reset, played volleyball, led them to the CAA semifinals. Then she returned to basketball for her sophomore year, where all she did was become 4-time Colonial Athletic Association first-team player, 3-time CAA Player of the Year, 2-time All-American, led the country in scoring, and went to the WNBA, where she was Rookie of the Year, 7-time All-Star, 4-time All-WNBA first team, a champion, a 2-time MVP, a member of the 50-40-90 club, a gold medal to boot. She's in the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame and will be inducted into the Naismith Hall of Fame later this summer. Taking on Hank Gathers from Dobbins Tech. Hank was all-city, made 2 Public League Championship appearances, winning the Public League Championship his senior year. He was the MVP of that title game, where he led Dobbins to a 28-2 record, a national top 10 ranking. He went to USC and then transferred due to some coaching changes to Loyola Marymount, where he was a second and a third-team All-American. Became only the second player at the time to lead the country in both scoring and rebounding. He was West Coast Conference Player of the Year, 3-time first-team West Coast Conference player, 2-time West Coast Conference Tournament MVP. His number 44 is retired at Loyola Marymount. Unfortunately, never got to play in the NBA due to the tragic death that he suffered on the court during the WCC tournament his senior year. But still a great player both in Philly and in college. Now it's your turn. Who moves on? This is another doozy. Elena Deladun or Hank Gathers. Get your votes in any way you can. Any of my social media at Philly Jimbo. Wherever you're watching this, make a comment right below. Back to the Future Voice and Text line 267-495-8531. Who moves on to take on Kobe Bryant in the Elite Eight of the Suburban Regional? Elena Deladun or Hank Gathers? Get those votes in. On this day in 2025, Bryce Harper hits his 350th home run, but the Phils come up short, losing to the Red Sox in 11 innings. 1990, Dickie Thon breaks up Frank Viola's no-hitter with a grand slam. Phils would go on to win 8-4. Maybe there was a little black cat unlucky magic in there. 1978, Steve Carlton wins his 200th career game, becoming the 78th player in Major League Baseball history to reach that milestone. Fans in Europe got to see the Phillies and Cubs play the top of the third inning. Johnny Callison with a single, Tony Taylor with a flyout, as the first transatlantic broadcast ever happened. And to fill time, they put the Phillies and Cubs game on. And then in 1955, Del Annis had 3 home runs, drove in all 7 of the Phillies' runs as the Phils beat the Cardinals 7-2. I feel like I've been saying this for a week and a half now, but if there is any movement on the LeBron James front, we will update you tomorrow. There is no Phillies game, so relatively quiet day in Philly sports. We'll be back tomorrow with Fridays with AI. If you remember, we are going to continue our 66-67 tournament, or I guess series with the Sixers. Tomorrow they're going to play the 2000-2001 Los Angeles Lakers to see if they can avenge it for Allen Iverson and the Sixers. So stay tuned for that. And of course, anything else that happens in Philly sports, I'll have you covered. But this has been This Day in Philly Sports History for July 23rd, 2026. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Thursday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.